Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. This is the Brittany React Show. And on this show we talk all things entertainment news and movie news. No strike news today, just entertainment news. We do have some WTF news though. We actually have a lot of WTF news, so make sure you stick around to the very end of the live stream for that. But for the most part, we're going to talk about Marvel and how they're very much struggling. How we have updated projections for the Marvels and it's getting even worse somehow. We also have Loki. I actually did watch the latest episode of Loki. I did enjoy it, but I'm noticing there's just not nearly enough people talking about it compared to the first season. So we're going to talk about how a lot of people have just completely lost interest in the MCU, it seems. And a few other fun things as well. So this is actually a pretty varied, fun show today. How are you guys doing? Hi, Em. Hi, Nick Just. Hi, Reelin. Hi, Natanya. Hi, Ajamin. Hi, Nick Just. Hi, Pretty Princess. Hi, Mooney Bear. Hi, Alex. Hi, the Blue Gecko Nerd. And thank you to each and every one of you who comes to this show each and every day. I genuinely appreciate it. Now it's Friday, guys. We have our first full week in the new space. This has been really exciting. I didn't know if we were going to have any Wi-Fi issues or tech issues, but no tech issues it seems, which is great. Happy about that. Hi Joshua Mudd. I haven't watched Into the Pandaverse yet. I think I'm going to do a whole live stream next week, probably just covering Into the Pandaverse, because I think that whole episode is probably indicative of a lot of the things we've been talking about in this show. Alright, so let's get to the first topic. So we're actually going to start with box office. Because the Hunger Games movie, the new Hunger Games movie, is actually not tracking too well, depending on who you ask. It's tracking to open at 50 million, which is going to be the worst opening of the entire franchise. Now, I told you guys, I don't think that this movie was going to have the same appeal as the other movies, just because it's different characters, it's not the original cast. But I honestly, 50 million is more than I was expecting for this film. I had really, really low expectations. So I think 50 million for essentially a reboot with the whole new cast is actually kind of decent. We'll see if people actually like the film though, and people actually go. Who knows if this, prediction holds? It could go lower, who knows? But what do you guys think? Is anyone actually really excited for this movie? Do you think 50 million is too low or too high? My expectations for this movie were so low, I actually think this is high, even though it's the worst for the franchise. Rachel says, I'm not remotely surprised about the Hunger Games news. Why aren't you surprised, Rachel? Good afternoon, Brienne. Yes, we are going to talk about Into the Pandaverse next week. I haven't seen it yet. But we are going to talk about it next week. Joshua Munn says, please do that. It's the funniest thing I watched in a while. I needed that laugh and I haven't even finished a third of it. Oh God, is it really that good? Now you guys have me really excited about it. Nick just says, it might be a decent movie, but it'll always be compared to the OG ones. Yeah, I mean, the OG ones were very, very popular. If you guys remember how much hype there was over the original trilogy, or I guess quadrilogy, it was the Hunger Games hype was insane back in the day. Reelin says, yeah, and the prequel book didn't have the same hype in the OG Hunger Games trilogy, so this amount is on par. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. The new prequel book wasn't nearly as popular as the original series, so I'm 50 million? Wow, that's actually pretty decent for this. I wasn't expecting it to reach the heights of the original, so kind of okay. Rachel, okay. I don't understand why they would put so much time into making a villain origin story instead of following Haymitch's origins. That's what I thought fans wanted. I thought fans wanted to know more about Haymitch, but you're totally right. Hi guys. Seems like my dog wants to say hi. He's like, what? Wait, why can't I be on camera? You guys want to see Prancer? Here's the one time he actually wanted to be on camera. Say hi, Prancer. He's a scene stealer, I know. He's a scene stealer. Caitlin says, Snow isn't really an interesting character to me to get me to go. Yeah, they should have focused on Haymitch. Just because, sorry. He's really, I don't know what's going on here. High five, Freed. I know. The Prancer has completely just taken over. I don't know what's going on here. Hello. Prancer, I'm in the middle of something. Can I put you down? Yeah? Can I put you down now? Okay. Thank you. Alright, so sorry about the distraction. Apparently he had something he wanted to say to me. But anyway, 50 million for this is, I think, actually pretty good for something that is so far removed from what it's supposed to be based off of. And it's got Rachel Zegler. So, plus Rachel Zegler is not a draw. Yeah, so a lot of you guys seem to think that this 50 million is just really bad. I think it's actually kind of okay. I don't know. But maybe my expectations were just that low. Alright, moving on. So, speaking of the box office, Disney's Wish ticket pre-sales are pacing above Encanto and Strange World. Now, to be fair, the opening for Encanto and Strange World were notoriously low, so the bar is not high. But the film is tracking to open with between 45 to 65 million domestically. These are similar numbers to Moana and Big Hero 6. So that means if this movie is actually well received, this Wish has the potential to break out, as we've been saying. I've been saying for a while, I feel like Wish has potential. I feel like it's a traditional Disney fairy tale with a villain and music. So there were a lot of reasons why I thought this movie could be a surprise hit. Now, the last hurdle for this movie is it has to be good. It has to be well received by the general public. The music has to be well liked. If the music is well liked, if we can get a hit song out of this movie, I see no reason why Wish can't become the next Moana or Big Hero 6. I have a lot of faith in this movie, actually. It's one of the few Disney animated films, or Disney films in general, I actually feel kind of hopeful about. Brandon WTF says, have we already discussed the MCU's destruction? Please tell me I haven't missed it. No, Brandon, you just joined the show at the very beginning. We will get to the MCU stuff in a minute. Just getting over some box office stuff. In fact, we're getting to the Marvel's box office projections right after this, so we're getting to Marvel very soon. Nick Just, you like the music video, okay. Riolin says, Wish is promising for once. I'd like Disney to put out a good film. I would too. I haven't seen the music video release. I don't want to see too much from the movie because I want to go into it with fresh eyes. When I do see this movie, I will be doing a whole live stream just dedicated to a live non-spoiler and spoiler review. So make sure you guys watch out for that. And speaking of a whole live stream review, next week, or not next week, when The Marvels comes out, I will be seeing it that Thursday night. So on Friday, I'm going to have an entire stream just dedicated to reviewing and talking about The Marvels. So get ready for that as well. I know, Fod Farid, it's a very exciting day for you. Cheyenne says, Disney needs this, LOL. They really do. Imagine if Wish and Guardians are their only, big hits this year, or their only hits in general. It could be. Burning Daylighter, yeah, a lot of people are not a fan of the animation style. I'm not surprised. Apparently, the people who worked on the film are saying that the compression that the trailer has to go through to be posted online doesn't do the animation justice, and that it looks better in the theater. So maybe take that in mind. I don't know. Maybe that could just be a lot of coping or a lot of excuses, but I don't hate the animation. I think I like it more than most, possibly. Sorry, my dog is playing. But I'm not surprised. I think this could be a surprise hit. The Marvels comes out in 2 weeks, I believe. Alright, moving on to Marvel, since I know you guys... Oh, wait, no. Before we get to Marvel, I do want to just let you guys know that Five Nights at Freddy's is actually looking like it might do extremely well. It did 10.3 million during its Thursday night previews, which is more than what Oppenheimer did. So this is looking very promising for Five Nights at Freddy's, even though it's also on Peacock. So people are still willing to go to theaters to see this, even though you can watch it at home. So that's really good for this movie. I'll talk about how it does over the weekend on Monday. But so far, so good. That's actually, like, shockingly good for this movie. All right, now we're getting to Marvel. So, this is what I wanted to tell you guys. So, Box Office Pro has updated their box office forecast, and look at this, guys. Look at this. This is a mess right here. Do you guys see this? Do I need to make this bigger? Let me see if I can make this bigger. I don't know. Does that work for you guys? Okay. So, the Marvels possibly opening between 45 to 67 million. 45 million, by the way. They keep lowering their projections for this movie. This is a 9% decrease from what they were projecting for this movie just like a week ago. Like, that's how badly the pre-sales for this movie have been. They have decreased by 9% already. If this movie opens to 45 million, do you guys know how bad that would be? That would be the lowest opening for any Marvel movie ever. It would be lower than The Incredible Hulk, which was so bad they had to disown that movie and recast the Hulk. It would be lower than that movie, and that movie came out in like 2009, I think. Like, it came out a long time ago, so we're also like adding inflation. So this is really awful. That just means like the bottom for this movie, the bottom for just general interest in the MCU just couldn't be lower right now. It seems like just general audiences have completely almost rejected just interest in Marvel at all. Like, even, we're going to talk about Loki later, but even Loki season 2, there was just a really good episode they released, and it doesn't seem like outside of like the core Marvel fan base, it doesn't seem like a lot of people actually care. So that's not good for them. Kisaki says FNAF is an internet sensation even if you weren't in the fandom. Exactly. That's why I'm so surprised that the media is so surprised that this movie is doing so well. I'm like, they must not realize how big the game is. Nicholas says, 2008, the MCU's infancy, and I thought they recast because Norton was a harasser. Oh, a hard ass. Yeah. I mean, according to the new MCU book that just came out, apparently Edward Norton is like one of the only actors where they're like, no, that guy could never come back here. So this is pretty awful. Oh, The Incredible Hulk came out in 2008. That's even worse when you take into like inflation into account. That's awful. So yeah, it's looking like the Marvels is not just going to be a historic flop for Marvel. It's looking like it's probably going to be a historic flop just for like movie kind. Like, it's looking that bad, unfortunately. All right. So, moving on to the next thing. Entertainment news. Yes, Martin Scorsese has joined Letterboxd. We're getting to the Loki stuff later, but I do have a few other things I wanted to bring up first. Martin Scorsese has joined Letterboxd. It seems like in order to promote Killers of the Flower Moon, he's trying to get hip with the new young audience. And do you see the description he put in his profile? He put, "This is cinema." He knows his meme. That's really, really cute. I thought this was pretty adorable. And in just a day, Martin Scorsese is now the most followed account on Letterboxd. He's the most followed account on Letterboxd in a day. I'm not surprised by this at all, especially given the demographic of people who probably use Letterboxd are probably, the same kind that showed up to his movie. So I just think this is really cute. He's been like having all these interviews lately where he's been acting like an old grandpa that's like, oh, what is a phone? And this is just like one of those things. So I thought I'd bring it up. I know I did say movie kind. I did. Flawed for Read. What is Letterboxd? Letterboxd is a popular website where people go and they post like their opinions on movies and their rankings and stuff like that. It's become very popular amongst like younger people for whatever reason. Kisaki says Martin Scorsese looks like one of those old guys from Pixar. He looks like the guy from Up, right? I think that's who you're talking about. Yeah, he kind of does look like the old guy from Up. That's really funny. All right, moving on. So, other bad news. It looks like Fantastic Beasts director has confirmed that the franchise is officially done. Now, Warner Brothers is not done with Harry Potter. They plan on completely rebooting Harry Potter with its own TV show on Max, like completely redoing the books over again, but as a show. So that I'm not surprised that Fantastic Beasts is done. As a huge Harry Potter fan myself, even I could admit that these movies were often terrible, like awful terrible. Like I didn't even see the last Fantastic Beasts movie because I thought the second one was that awful. So, not surprised by this at all, especially if they're just focusing on, rebooting the books instead. Anyone surprised by this? Anyone sad by this? There were supposed to be like 6 or 7 of them or something. Alex says, I'm not surprised, yeah. Hidden Name says, in their defense, I'm Gen Z and I only found out about the FNAF, earlier this year. Interesting. Bitchy Allen says, often terrible is an understatement. I would honestly say the second Fantastic Beasts movie, it's an understatement to call it awful. Like, I genuinely think it's that bad. I'm so sorry, but I think that movie was god-awful. Oh, Ageman says, I think the first movie was good. I think the first movie had promise. The first movie was like, okay, this could go somewhere. It's cute. And then I saw the second movie and I was like, what the hell happened? This is like, there was a whole scene, spoiler if you care, but there's a whole scene at the end of the second movie where they all like stand in a circle and they all like explain their backstory and just like a monologue of dialogue. And I'm like, what the heck is this? So yeah, I didn't think that movie was very good or well written at all. So not surprised by this. Also not surprised by they're trying to revitalize Doctor Who, so they're bringing back David Tennant and Donna Noble. So I'm actually kind of excited for this because this is back when like I actually cared about this show. So I'll be watching this just for David Tennant. I haven't seen the new Doctor, but I like this just because I'm going to get to see them again. So that's exciting for me. Anyone interested in Doctor Who or curious at getting back into it? They're trying everything they can to get people back interested in this show. The fact that they brought back, like, arguably the most popular Doctor and one of the most popular companions is, like, pretty, it's a pretty desperate move. What is going on? Prancer, what are you doing? Hi. My dog he really wants my attention. Oh, you think it's cringe? Okay. Oh, you think this is bad news? Interesting. No, you don't care about this? No. Seems like I don't have a lot of Doctor Who fans in the chat. Who's Doctor Who? Oh my goodness. It used to be super popular. Like, super popular. It is sort of it's not really a reboot, it's more just a special where they're bringing back some old characters, because again, they're just trying to get people to like the show again. Oh, Rhea Lynn says Doctor Who Tumblr scared me. That was a whole era, man. That was like a whole era. No, my dog's name is Prancer, like the reindeer. Prancer does love the show today. So it seems like most of you don't care about this. Alright, let's move on. So, Marvel. Now we're at the Marvel stuff. So, Thor 5 is reportedly in the works, but they do not want Taika Waititi, which is not surprising since I think Thor Love and Thunder is amongst the top 5 worst Marvel movies. I think Thor Love and Thunder was truly that bad. In fact, I would say there are like at least 2 Thor movies that are in the top 5, because Thor the Dark World is also pretty bad. And I'm not surprised they wouldn't want Taika back, because a lot of the critiques for the last Thor movie were that he Taika'd too hard. And even Chris Hemsworth kind of shaded that movie and shaded Taika Waititi, calling the Thor film silly, saying he wanted to work with more serious directors. So I'm not surprised. In fact, I'm willing to bet Chris Hemsworth said he would only be willing to do another Thor movie if Taika Waititi was, like, fired. I'm willing to bet that was even part of the deal. I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying that it would make sense to me. So, who is excited for a Thor 5? Do you still want to see a Thor 5 after Thor Love and Thunder? I mean, that movie was pretty bad, not gonna lie. I don't know. I kind of feel like Thor as a character might just be done. Do we really need a fifth Thor? As much as I like Thor, do we really need another one? Heroic says, it's good news. Taika Waititi is not for Thor. Yeah, I agree. I think Taika Waititi is still a good director. I just don't know if him and Marvel. I just don't know if him and Marvel are a good match. JZJ Mom says he wasted so much money. He really did. He really did. I mean, there's apparently so much on the cutting room floor from this movie. Like, he was just messing around, playing around over in Australia when they were filming this movie and did, like, basically nothing serious at all. That's what it sounds like from all the rumors. That's why the movie's so bad. He didn't take the job seriously, so I'm not surprised he's fired. Burning Daylighter says, nope, now he's gotten a random daughter. So, yeah, you're talking about Thor. I thought you were talking about Taika for a second. I was like, what? But yeah, Thor has a random daughter now, so I guess the fifth Thor movie is going to be about him and his daughter? Does Chris Hemsworth even want to do a fifth Thor movie? Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with, I think it was Parkinson's. So he did say that he wants to spend more time with his family and just focus on himself, so does he even want to do more Thor movies? I thought he was kind of hinting that he was out. So this is very surprising. This might just be like Marvel saying that they want to do a fifth Thor movie, but I don't think this is far from like confirmed or actually going to happen. Joshua Munn says, funny how Taika does Ragnarok and everyone loves it, then does Thor Love and Thunder does the same thing and everyone changes. What changed? You know what? I agree with you, Joshua, because I actually thought Thor Ragnarok was very similar to Thor Love and Thunder. I didn't love Thor Ragnarok nearly as much as everyone else did, for a lot of the same reasons people didn't like Love and Thunder. I was like, this movie is not it. So I'm surprised that people didn't have the same reaction, because I was like, I kind of thought they were similar movies, so I'm with you. Mickey, you've been a member for 2 months. Thank you so much for staying and supporting the channel. Hi, Brittany. I haven't been to the stream for a while, but how do you feel that more and more movies are getting delayed? I'm feeling that we're probably just going to keep seeing more and more. I don't think that these delay announcements are going to end anytime soon, unfortunately. I honestly think that what happened with the pandemic, where the pandemic, because no one could go to theaters, got a lot of people used to just staying home and streaming stuff. I think the strikes could cause another situation where it trains people to like find entertainment elsewhere and not having to like depend on Hollywood content for that. I think that could be another situation that happens because of these strikes and because of all these delays. So I think that's probably the biggest issue, or one of the biggest issues that Hollywood is facing because of the strikes. But thank you for being a member, Mikey. Jameer says, Gore the God Butcher has 1 minute on-screen kills in the first 5 minutes. He only really killed, like, one god, right? Like, I feel like they really wasted him. They wasted that character and the actor. But anyway, it seems like most of you are saying this is... Chris Hemsworth got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Thank you. It seems like most of you are saying this just doesn't seem that necessary. The Blue Gecko Nerd says, if that was me in the entertainment industry, I would have been fired ages ago since I'm not a good actor. What do you mean? You mean Taika should have been fired? Star Film Studio says, what about all the movies will be... What about all the movies will better and be like indie shows like Murder Drones or The Amazing Digital Circus? Are you saying, are we gonna like get more independent stuff? I hope so. I hope that's what all this leads to. That would be great. But who knows? He knows. He doesn't have Alzheimer's? I could have sworn it was Parkinson's, but I'm not sure. But anyway, we'll see if this movie even comes to fruition. I think there's a lot of doubt over Thor 5 will even happen. I just think that it's interesting that if it does happen, they're definitely not keeping Taika, which is not surprising to me. All right, moving on. So, going to Loki season 4. Now, Loki season 4. I just watched the episode. I really liked the episode. I think this show is actually well written and it looks good. I would say this movie is probably a lot better than most Disney Plus shows, not gonna lie. But it's just not connecting with people. It's not generating the same hype and interest as season 1 did. And I wanted to discuss why that might be. And I know this is going to seem strange. I've never done this before, but I think my dog is trying to tell me he needs something. So I need like 1 or 2 minutes. I know I'm going to have to go off screen. So just talk amongst yourselves for like 1 or 2 minutes. I'm so sorry. I think my dog needs me. I'm pretty sure that's what he's trying to tell me. Because he's never been this active. Give me a second. Hi. Sorry about that. I will never do that again, I promise, but I think my dog was probably going to have an accident in my living room if I didn't do something, so Yeah, how to do something. Anyway, how are you guys? And what were you talking about while I was gone? So, we are talking about Loki Season 4. Yes, I want to talk about Loki Season 4. Because it really is, it really is a good show. I genuinely think it's a good show. It's well written. It's smart. If you like sci-fi, there's a lot for you. I think, if this show had come out, honestly, I think if this show had come out, literally last year, it would have had a lot more interest. I think it's just the combination of Quantumania, Secret Invasion, just so many subpar stuff that has happened since then that I think it's all compiled to where I think the general audience has literally just completely lost interest. They don't care anymore. They just do not care. Angel Barrera, oh my god, thank you so much for the super chat. It's not doing well because not enough Jonathan Majors. Honestly, I think Jonathan Majors' acting in this is atrocious. I thought he was okay in Quantumania. I sort of got what they were talking about when they were saying, oh, he's so good, he's such an actor type. Apparently, Marvel thought Jonathan Majors was just such a good actor that's why they decided to hang this entire phase on Kang. Because they saw his performance in Quantumania and was like, oh, he's a thespian, he's so good. And now I'm like, did you also see Loki? Because Loki is terrible. I mean, his performance, Loki itself is not terrible, but his performance in this show is terrible. Literally, does anyone actually like Jonathan Majors' performance in this? I think he is doing the absolute most. I think silent performers in the 20s would probably be more subtle than Jonathan Majors in this show. That's how much I think he has overacted. I think whatever these weird ticks and choices he had with his character was just way too much. Yeah, I think I don't understand what they mean anymore when they're like, oh, he's so good, we had to go with him as king. So I'm like, he's not that good. I'm sorry, he's not. Slagjaw says, I don't think it has anything to do with Jonathan Majors. It has to do with the superhero fatigue and Marvel missing the beat these days in their movies. They need a few years break, not a reboot. Yeah, they need a long break. Honestly, I think a reboot is not even enough. They need at least a 5-year break and a reboot. They need both at this point. Because honestly, this is Marvel at its peak, even with Jonathan Majors' silly performance. I do genuinely believe it's a silly performance. I think this is actually good. I think this is even better than the first Loki, and the first Loki came out when everyone actually still cared about the MCU. So I think that's why I'm saying if this season had just come out a little bit earlier, or if some of those projects had not even come out that weren't well received, I genuinely think this season would be so much more loved, so much more popular. It would actually be trending. The show doesn't even really trend other than for you. You might see it trending for you, but I was checking worldwide trends, US trends, no one's talking about this show. No one cares. So it's pretty bad. Angel Barrera, oh my god, thank you so much for another super chat. You're so kind. Maybe they replaced Jonathan Majors with AI. I don't think this is AI Jonathan Majors. Hopefully AI could be a better actor than that. I don't think AI has the ability to overact that badly, so it probably maybe would have been more subtle, but it would have been ooh, hoity-toity. I don't know what the heck he was going for, but it was something along the lines of whatever the heck it was I just did. Nicholas Wilson says, agree, they need to take a break for people's plates to be cleansed. Oh yeah, they do. You know what, that's really what DC should be doing too. I don't think this year break they have next year is enough for them either, especially since they still have Joker coming out next year. So they have Joker coming out next year, and then after that they have the Superman movie, or if it even comes out on time with the strikes, who knows. But like I feel like they're not really giving DC a break either with this reboot, and DC is in even worse shape than Marvel is, so I think that's a mistake too. Christian, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And it's your first chat. And it's Christina Aguilera. Oh no. Okay, Christian Aguilera? Is that actually your name, or is that supposed to be a play on Christina Aguilera? I'm not sure. If that's actually your name, that's cool. But anyway, Star Film Studio says Marvel is dead. Who is going to save Marvel? No one. You know, if Marvel does quote-unquote die, I wonder what will be the next genre to take its place. Because I do believe there will be some other new big genre that everyone else will love more. I'm just wondering what that will be. I'm thinking it could be big immersive epics. Kind of like your Avatars, your Dunes. Even, I would say to a degree, like, you just need to have something big that looks good on an IMAX screen that can transport you and make you feel like you're escaping somewhere else. Like, it needs to be escapist, and it needs to be something worthy of an IMAX screen. I think that's where we're heading, honestly. I think, honestly, studios should go back to looking at books, like old, like rich sci-fi novels, like other stuff that's like Dune essentially, and try to adapt those and give it like the full Dune, Denis Villeneuve treatment, where you like take it seriously and you make it like a huge like epic for the big screen. I think that's what they should do. I think people would be really into that, or at least I would be. Would you guys want to see that? Be honest. Like, be honest. I want to know, what do you guys actually want to see in theaters? Nicholas says that's what Game of Thrones was for TV before it messed up the last season. Oh my gosh. The last season of Game of Thrones, I think, will always go down in infamy. How do you fumble the bag that badly? Like, you had the world literally eating out of your hands. How did they fumble the bag that badly? Alex Larson says, my friend and I want to see a Dinotopia reboot. I'm not sure what Dinotopia is, but I'm intrigued. Joshua Munn says, maybe video games and toy movies? I mean, I know we're also getting more video games and toy movies, but I don't think making a movie based off of just any toy is going to do well. Like, I have done live streams talking about all the plans Mattel now has, now that Barbie has done so well, and they're trying to make a movie based off of practically any toy that has ever toyed in the history of toys. I mean, they're trying to make an Uno game, for crying out loud. They're trying to make, what was it, a Magic 8-Ball movie? Like, they're literally trying to make a movie off of anything. I don't know. Yes, Barbie was a huge hit, but Barbie is unique. Barbie is actually, you know, based off of humanoid dolls that were very popular and have a very clear aesthetic. That does not translate to every other toy brand. So I just don't think that just making any old toy movie is going to work. I think it needs to be a specific kind of movie. And thank you for bringing up that, because I would even say both Barbie and Oppenheimer fit in the immersive epic category. Maybe they're not like truly epics in like the traditional sense, but they are like grand in vision, grand in scale. The visuals are grand. Especially with Barbie, with the built sets and like the production design. Even in Oppenheimer, it's very immersive in how it's filmed, especially if you saw it on film. So I think that's one of the reasons why Barbie and Oppenheimer were so appealing to people, is because they were both like big, epic, grand, immersive movies that looked good on IMAX, or it looks good on a big screen at least. I think that's really what people are turning towards. At least that's what it looks like to me. Joshua Munn says, well, then Hollywood is dead. They'll just make crossovers of everything ever to exist. Like we said yesterday, that's Hollywood's endgame. I don't want them to do that. I mean, that would be really sad. Could you imagine like an everything crossover and then it flops? That's just like going out on a whimper, man. At least hold on to your dignity, you know? Shelley Lee says, perhaps Barbie has an affair with G.I. Joe. Oh, Shelley, that's messy. Oh, you want the messy drama. Let's turn the Barbie G.I. Joe universe into like a nice soap opera where like all the toys are cheating on each other. I don't know. That'd be kind of funny. The Blue Gecko Nerd says, the Lego movie is really good and I hardly hear anyone talking about it. That's true. It was a smash hit when it was released back in 2014. That's very true. And I loved the Lego movie when it came out. That was like one of my favorite movies of that year. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, you're right. People don't really talk about it, which is sad. But anyway, going back to what we're talking about with Loki here, I did want to ask you guys, my members, why do you think like Loki is not getting attention? Secret Invasion didn't really get much attention. The Marvels is not getting much attention. It's just looking like the general public has completely checked out of the MCU. So I asked my members, at what point did you check out of the MCU? Since a lot of you have been saying you've done the same thing. Like, what was it? What movie was it? What show was it? What was Marvel doing that made you completely check out? I wanted to know. So I got a lot of good comments as usual. You guys are always great. I love these comments you add. Genuinely, they make me so happy. I love that you guys like actually like take the time to really like think things out. Like you want to give a good response, not just like, you know, anything, which I really appreciate. But M82123, thank you so much for being a member, says, this is so true. Yesterday I was watching episode 2 and I stopped halfway through because I found myself just not caring for it. Loki is not one of my favorite characters, so maybe if I liked him more, I'd have more interest in the show. I'll always consider myself to be a fan of the MCU, particularly phase 1 through 3, but I'm just not fixated on Marvel like I used to be. If they had done well post phase 3, I'd probably still be really into the MCU. Plus, I'm currently fixated on a comic book series, not Marvel, that's super good, and that's what I would rather spend my money on right now over going to theaters to watch the Marvels. I mean, I think you're just saying it like what I think is pretty much the crux of the issue. A lot of their stuff just isn't good. If people thought Quantumania had been really good, if people thought Thor Love and Thunder was really good, if people thought even Eternals was really good, if people thought Black Widow was really good, even Black Panther Wakanda Forever, a lot of people didn't like that one as much as the first one. If more people liked Black Panther Wakanda Forever, if all of these movies had done better and these shows were better received, I don't think Marvel would be where it's at. I really do think they messed their own selves up by just releasing really bad content. And I think once you've lost people's trust that what you're putting out is good, it's going to be really hard to get that trust back. You're going to need to put out like several really well-received movies in a row, and shows to get people's trust back. And that's not an easy task. Pretty Princess says, I'm sure Mattel still has the Bratz creators in court, so Bratz will come up with a movie next with the Barbie villain. I'm waiting for the Bratz movie. Where is the live-action Bratz movie? Why have they not announced that? That seems like the most... Well, maybe because of the strikes, that's why they haven't announced it. That could be it. But other than that, I feel like that is like the most dumb move after the success of Barbie. You make a live-action Bratz movie, and you give it the Mean Girls treatment, where it's like set in high school, but like they're brats, and like they're actually kind of catty with each other in like a do revenge kind of way, like really, you know, appeal to Gen Z. I think that could do so well. That could do so well. Even $1 billion well, especially if it's also visually engaging like Barbie was. If you actually make this high school in like a Bratz world that looks very Bratz specific, do you understand how much money that could make? That would print money. Executives, what are you doing? Hybrid Venom says, well, none of you guys heard about Mean Girls and Devil Dinosaur. That is literally an overrated show. Mean Girls and Devil Dinosaur? What is that? That's a show? That sounds like it should be canceled. Okay, I'll refresh. I should have everyone's now. Arvin says, Secret Invasion had Gaia overpowered, the Marvels has Carol overpowered, and Loki has Miss Minutes over creepy people don't want this. You know what? Miss Minutes was actually pretty creepy. I like Miss Minutes. I actually think she's kind of a fun character. Is she overpowered? Probably, but I enjoy her. But anyway, thank you for being a member. And I'm Mikey says, hi Brittany, I'm glad I was able to watch one of these live streams because since you switched times, I couldn't. Oh, I'm sorry about that. But I think in late 2020 when the pandemic ended is when I stopped watching Marvel movies and TV shows because the things they were releasing weren't really interesting anymore. True. They weren't really good things like the things they put out before the pandemic. I think you're basically saying what M8 is saying is like a lot of the stuff they released post-pandemic, unfortunately, is just not very good. Oh my gosh, Baz Banter, thank you so much for the super chat. Super appreciate it. You guys are so awesome. I love the support. Chev on Jr. says, it was Disney all along. Also, love your videos and keep up the good work. Oh, thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. Marilyn Cherry says, I was really excited for Doctor Strange 2 until I saw it. Weren't we all? Furthermore, we lost too many beloved characters through death, movie or real life, retirement, Hawkeye, and cancellation, Daredevil/Jessica. Yeah, we lost like probably some of the most interesting characters after Endgame for sure. I think the whole goal Marvel had in mind was that they wanted to introduce new characters that people would love just as much as the old characters, but that didn't happen. Mainly because a lot of the shows that they introduced these new characters in weren't very good. So you can't really endear, audiences to these new characters when you're putting them in crappy stuff. And unfortunately, I have to agree with what you guys are saying. Multiverse of Madness, I was very disappointed by. Alexander Padilla says, hey Brittany, what made me lose interest was that there's so much homework to do with Marvel. I really don't want or feel to watch anything, and the stuff that I have watched isn't even that good. It's trash. Marvel needs a break and a long one. Sending love from California. Thank you so much, Alexander. And I agree. Marvel feels like homework right now. That's why the Marvels is about to flop something fierce. Because you have to watch not just 2 Disney Plus shows to understand that show, but technically 3. Because not just Miss Marvel, not just WandaVision, but also apparently the Marvels is a continuation from Secret Invasion as well. So you have to watch like 3 shows. 3! To understand this movie. It's way too much homework, and that's why the Marvels is about to flop. Kisaki says, I'm only interested in Doctor Strange and Wanda at this point. Yeah, at this point, I feel like I'm only interested in Spider-Man and Wanda. Like, those are the 2 characters. And, like, the X-Men when they get to them. But I'm really nervous about how they're going to do the X-Men. Fabrizio Valdivia says, I feel like they invested in the wrong characters and now they have too many stories to follow. For example, after Endgame came out, WandaVision became very successful and everyone wanted to see more of Wanda and White Vision. Where did White Vision go? Like, we don't even know. There are just so many, like, dropped storylines from Phase 4 I just feel like we are never going to hear about again. When we did get to see Wanda again, it wasn't her own movie, and we still don't know what happened to Vision. I don't think Marvel thought Wanda would get that popular. Oh, they definitely didn't. Wanda wasn't even that popular before WandaVision. WandaVision is what made her super popular, and I don't think they expected that to happen. So now I think that's why they haven't done anything with Wanda yet, because they never had plans, really, for her long term. And now fans are demanding it, and they're like, wait, we weren't expecting her to be this popular. What are we supposed to do with Wanda? I'm pretty sure that's what's happening with her right now. There's so many stories now to keep up with that it feels overwhelming. If they wanted Miss Marvel and Monica to be major players, they should have given Miss Marvel her own movie instead of a show and a Wanda movie that heavily included Monica. This would have made the Marvels feel more epic and like a big team-up movie. I think that's why there's no hype for the Marvels. It doesn't feel like a team-up movie because the amount of people who have seen all the necessary properties necessary to understand this movie and are excited to actually, like, see these 3 characters team up and switch powers and all of that. That is such a niche audience who actually cares about that. like, that person who has not only seen all of those shows and all of those movies to understand this movie, but like cares enough to actually want to see those superheroes team up together and like change powers when their powers are like also extremely similar. I mean, they all just like throw, light glows out of their hands, right? That's like essentially what their powers are. So it's not even that interesting to like see them swap powers because they're all kind of the same. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, not swap powers. They're swapping places when they use their powers. But what I'm saying is their powers are all essentially the same anyway. So it's still not even that visually interesting. And I don't know. I don't mean to be so negative about this movie, but I'm struggling to find what is the selling point for this film. I don't think this movie has one, which is why I think it's about to flop really badly. Anyone agree? What are you guys thinking in the chat? Joshua Munn says they canceled White Vision's show and Wonder Man's show too, which was supposed to tie in. Yeah, I'm not surprised they've already canceled White Vision's show. I think every show that they haven't already officially announced at some convention or whatever has probably been canceled by now. And they didn't officially announce those shows yet. Those were just like, I think, leaked to fans announced. So that now they're just being like quietly canceled, which I'm not surprised by. Thank you, Prince. You are also a great moderator. Yes, please subscribe to the channel if you are not. I see a lot of people actually who watch the show aren't subscribed, so you should try subscribing so you don't miss a show. Also, like the video because it does send out this live stream to more people so we can have more people join the show. But going back to this, Brienne Solis, thank you so much for being a member, says, I lost interest when they decided to go woke and ignored what the public actually wanted. People have grown tired of them and their constant habit of making bad decisions. There's also them releasing too many films in 1 year. After the pandemic, people have grown used to streaming everything. On top of that, there's the issue with inflation. People can't afford to go to the movies as many times as Disney has been releasing. Ooh, yeah. I've been reading a lot of scary articles. I know how somehow we always end up talking about like the end times on this show, but I've been seeing a lot of articles lately where it's like, oh, are we in a depression? Oh, we're in a secret recession. Like something about the economy not doing well. And I'm just like, yeah, obviously people aren't going to go to the theaters as much if they don't have, as much extra income to just, spend on that kind of stuff. Which actually kind of times up pretty well with all the delays happening next year, because if people don't have the money to go to the theater, good, because there's not much going to be coming out in theaters. Arvin Rufy says, we should watch the Marvels to save the headless poster actors. Oh my god, that poster was so bad. What in the world was that poster? Anthony Santos says that I have to say Thor Love and Thunder turned me away from the MCU since everyone is now a jokester. If you watch his older movies, he was more serious, same with other Marvel characters. I think it all started when they introduced Spider-Man in Civil War. They started leaning more into quick jokes or saying gags. Or quick jokes or sayings. You know what? I don't think that's where it started. I think this started with the first Avengers movie. Because I think a lot of Marvel's humor that they still use today comes from Whedon's humor that he kind of solidified in the Avengers movie, the first one. I think that's where all of this Whedon-esque quippy humor comes from. It's all from the first Avengers. He pretty much set the tone for the whole MCU, and I think he still sets the tone for the MCU. That's where I think it comes from. But yes, Thor Love and Thunder, way too many jokes. Way too many jokes. I thought that movie was like one SNL skit after another. It's like the movie itself didn't even take itself serious. Like, it's like the movie itself was like, this movie is so ridiculous and stupid, how could you even be watching me? Like, the movie itself felt that way. Like, Thor Love and Thunder was bad. Joshua Munn says, now I want you to tell me what you guys think the Marvels is about, judging by the trailers, because I couldn't even tell you. Yeah, I think the trailers for the Marvels has been pretty bad. I'm telling you, Joshua, the movie's about every time these three girls use their powers, they switch places. And they have to team up and, I'm assuming, defeat some big bad. I think the big bad in this movie is another woman. I don't know what character she plays, but she is in the trailer. That's essentially as much as we know about this movie. And I think that's essentially what the plot is. That's why that's all they've shown in the movie. I mean, that's all they've shown in the trailers. I don't think that this movie's going to have some crazy complex plot. I really think it's all about the gimmick of them switching places. I think that's what the whole movie is just going to be. Jordan Davis says, I haven't completely turned away from Marvel yet, but Miss Marvel really damaged my personal interest in the studio. I have hope nonetheless. Oh, you still have hope. Okay, that's good. I'm glad that at least some of you still have hope. It's not like all of you have completely turned away, which is good. I have to say, I thought Miss Marvel started off good. Like, I thought the first 2 episodes when the Miss Marvel was actually in like, New York still, I thought the show actually started off pretty strong, and then it fell off the rails the moment they left the U.S. I thought when they actually went to Pakistan, I thought the show took a nosedive in quality. And I thought the villains were terrible. Like, the Clandestine, oh my god, they were awful. I think some of the worst villains in the entire MCU. Yeah, I think the ending of that show ruined the entire thing for me. And they made her an X-Men, which is odd. And why, again, I'm like, I don't know what the heck Marvel's going to be doing with the X-Men. Amorex says, so tired of the you took everything from me line. Yeah. People like to say that line a lot. Rachel Reed's Romance says, Phase 4 as a whole deserves to get blamed for why I turned away from Marvel. Endgame was a massive event, and they should have had plans to top that theatrical experience. Instead, what we got was a bunch of mediocre and boring media that ended up making the universe overly complicated. I think what they thought they could do after Endgame was that they probably thought they were just so invincible that all they had to do was put Marvel's logo on it and they could get anyone to see anything. That I really thought their plan in their head after Endgame was just to take a breather, so to speak, and release a bunch of character-driven shows that weren't really about pushing the overall plot of the MCU forward. They were just about introducing new characters. Because that's essentially what Phase 4 was. And I think that entire mindset and decision was a mistake. Because what people liked about the MCU was that they felt that they had to watch everything to understand the overall story. And what these Disney Plus shows made very clear very quickly is that you didn't have to watch everything because these shows actually amounted to nothing and meant nothing. And I think once people kind of caught on to that, it completely unraveled the entire MCU. I completely blame the Disney Plus shows, by the way, for the fall of Disney Plus. I think the Disney Plus shows were, not the fall of Disney Plus, the fall of the MCU. I think the Disney Plus shows completely derailed Marvel entirely. Natanya says, I would say Black Widow. This movie should have happened before Endgame. Yeah, that movie, it's so weird. That movie came out after Endgame, even though she was already dead by then. That made no sense. No sense at all. That should have been our first flag that they were making some dumb decisions. Because why did they do that? Amorex, I'm glad that you like Miss Marvel. I know a lot of people did. Some people really, really loved that show. I thought it started off good. I just thought it ended horribly. Oh, thank you, Slackjaw. Joshua Munn says, there's just too much to watch. Phase 4 alone is longer than Phase 1 and 3 combined. Yeah, I know. Ajamin says, for me, it was Doctor Strange 2. They marketed this movie like it was going to be one of the biggest Marvel projects, but it was so disappointing. Yeah, they really marketed Doctor Strange 2 like it was practically an Avengers movie. Like it was so important to the overall story, you had to see it. But then when you did see it, yet again, you kind of saw that there weren't really any consequences, and it didn't really amount to anything in the larger MCU. So I think a lot of people saw that movie and felt duped, like a lot of casual audiences who believed the hype, saw the movie, felt duped, and was like, this doesn't feel that important. And then they saw the other movies that came afterward that were also terrible, like Thor Love and Thunder and Quantumania. And I think by Quantumania, the people that still cared were like, you know what? I think we're done with Marvel. And I think that one was officially the death nail. And then I think Secret Invasion was the death nail for a lot of the diehard Marvel fans. I think Quantumania was a death knell for a lot of the casual fans, like, just casual people who might see a MCU movie every now and then. And I think Secret Invasion was a death knell for a lot of diehard MCU fans who used to show up for everything. I think it was like the double whammy of both of those is why the Marvels is opening so low. The multiverse concept was not used well, and they wasted Doctor Strange's and Wanda's characters. Other movies and TV series that came after that movie, except Guardians 3 and Loki Season 2, were boring and uninteresting. And what's funny, a lot of people think Loki Season 2 is boring and uninteresting. I actually like Loki Season 2, but not everyone. A lot of people think that show is also really boring, so I'm not even sure. Prince says Doctor Strange 2 is about multiverse, yet it had like two... Yeah, I know it. It was called Multiverse of Madness, yet they showed like two multiverses. Or like two other universes. It was crazy. It was like, I kind of felt like the title was lying to us a bit. Amorex, exactly. Wanda was trending for weeks prior to Doctor Strange. People really wanted to see Wanda, which is why I'm just shocked that they haven't done anything with Wanda since then. Like, they should have announced something with Wanda like years ago. The fact that there's like nothing Wanda on this future schedule is crazy to me. But anyway, it's like they've been trying so hard to get all these new characters to pop, especially the female ones. And then they finally get a female character to get like super, super popular with Wanda. And they do nothing with her. It makes no sense. Like, why are they forcing freaking American Chavez? Or what's the other one? Cassie Lang? Why are they trying to force Cassie Lang down our throat? But they won't give us a Wanda movie, I don't get it. Nicholas Wilson says, a mixture of oversaturation and unoriginal/bland characters. But it's really when they started using the multiverse concept as an FU to the audiences, allowing them to completely change stories and characters, bring back characters back from the dead, etc., that I lost interest. I think Marvel probably underestimated just how much people had an interest in the MCU, specifically because Iron Man and Captain America were there. Or I should say Steve Rogers' Captain America were there. They were so popular, I really do think they were like carrying the MCU on their backs. And now that they're gone and we're seeing what's happening to the MCU, I think it's even more clear that they were like doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Especially RDJ. So yeah, I'm not surprised. There were a lot of rumors that Marvel apparently wants a lot of the legacy Avengers actors to come back. I'm not surprised by that. Although I've also been seeing a lot of those same actors, including Chris Evans, being like, you know what? I think I'm done with Marvel. I think I had a good time. I don't want to overstay my welcome. Like, we're having a lot of these actors basically being like, you know what? I think I'm done with Marvel. So Marvel might want them back, but doesn't mean the actors want to come back. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. This multiverse stuff, I think, is definitely getting tired, though. Like, I think people are definitely getting over it. And unfortunately, what I think this multiverse trend is kind of doing is it's exposing who audiences and fans genuinely care about and, like, who are actually nostalgic for. Because, like, okay, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, obviously deeply nostalgic. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, very nostalgic. But, like, as we were talking about yesterday, Kelsey Grammer's Beast. Love Beast. Love him to death. I think he was a great casting. But how many stands of Kelsey Grammer's Beast are out there, Like, just because you're bringing back someone from another movie, that maybe was a lot more popular long ago, doesn't mean you're automatically gonna drum up interest again. Not everyone is Tobey Maguire, No offense to Kelsey Grammer, but you're not Tobey Maguire. So it's like not every cameo even has the same impact or weight. So, this multiverse stuff can only go so far. Shockwave says, wait, no one's watching Loki Season 2. What the hell? They're missing out the good stuff. I know, right? I feel like if people cared in Marvel right now, they would actually be like, enjoying the show, because the show is actually pretty good. Jessica H., I'm glad you're liking my show. Caitlin A says, I like America Chavez in the comics a lot, but they got rid of everything that was cool about her when they brought her into the movie. Yeah, they Disney-fied her. They made America Chavez into like a boring girl boss activist type. Because that's what Disney does with all their female characters. So of course she was boring and bland. I really wish they would stop doing that. But anyway, getting back to this. Real Lynn says, I honestly lost interest mostly before Infinity War and Endgame. I still have not watched those films. What? You haven't watched Infinity War and Endgame? But I am aware of the overall outcomes and the memes and who dies pretty much. For me, it was just too much to keep up with, and I thought most of the films were good rather than great. Of what I have seen, I enjoyed the Captain America films the most. I actually think the Captain America trilogy holds up better than a lot of the other movies. I agree with you. The most recent MCU film I saw was Shang-Chi. Oh my god. And that was decent, but I mostly lost interest too because of Disney needing to make so many current day USA, emphasis on USA, modern political stances in all of its properties. Yeah, I don't know how, Disney doesn't see that by putting a lot of US politics into their movies, they're obviously going to, make a lot of other foreign countries not care about their movies. Because, if Americans are getting tired of our own politics, how can you imagine, other countries are feeling? I know they gotta be tired of hearing about America. Since I think I'll have a lot of international fans in my audience today, you guys can probably back me up on this. I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing about America. Sorry, I don't even mean to get super political, but what I'm trying to say is if Americans are getting sick and tired of politics being in our own movies, I can't imagine what other countries are feeling. So I'm not surprised that international grosses for a lot of these movies have been going down because they don't want to see that stuff either. At the sacrifice of good storytelling and bad characters that made me lose interest in Disney branding. For me, Thor Love and Thunder really cemented my lack of interest and care in the live-action MCU. So, somehow, animation superhero projects seem to turn out better, storytelling-wise, and it's no wonder my favorite Marvel projects recently have been the Spider-Verse films under Sony Pictures Animation. Part of that has to do with the writers and directors of those films working well together, and the executive producer involvement of Lord and Miller. You know what? I think Lord and Miller, the reason why they make those Spider-Verse movies good is because they understand that at the end of the day, what people really care about is the characters. No one's gonna care about the multiverse stuff if you don't care about Miles. They really make you care about Miles. And I think the MCU is not doing a good enough doing a good enough job actually making you care about the characters. I don't care about, the multiverse ending if I don't care about the characters in the multiverse. And that's kind of where they're at this moment. Star Film Studio says, I think because of not putting enough ads on other technology, that's why Disney and other studios are unsuccessful. That's why they're trying to add ads to all their streaming services now. They realized there was a reason why the industry thrived on ads for decades, and they need to go back to that. Joshua Munn says, all of us, including children, have to be subject to political commentary all the time. It could happen only in a third world country. Civilized people are not this obsessed with politics. Are you saying America is not civilized? Not disagreeing with you, but I'm trying to understand your statement. Prince says, Arvin, I have a... Oh, you're saying something else. But anyway, what I'm just saying is, I think these studios are finally starting to realize that it is not just a small minority of people that are getting sick and tired of, identity politics and everything. I think in a few years, once these strikes are over and they can actually start making new movies, we will start seeing the effects of that, but it's going to take a while. Because again, it takes a while to make movies. So I don't know. I don't know if people are still going to be by the time they can make this course correction, if they do it all, will people even care? I think there's just so much up in the air between AI, the strikes, video gaming, so many other things that I think within like 5 years, I just see very dark, bleak days for this industry, is what I'm saying. And I don't want that to be true. I love movies. That's why I have a movie show. But everything that I'm seeing so far is just telling me that, like, not just Marvel, but, like, just the industry in general is going to go through it. But anyway, I've got on a tangent. How do we always get on this subject? But anyway, I feel like Disney should take a page from DC animation and expand the Marvel superheroes into animation more. But with how the animation industry in the States has been lately, laying off people and moving more projects overseas, I do not have much hope. Yeah, I think Western animation is getting, pretty much gutted. They're going to be hiring a lot of people overseas now. So that, I think, is going to change animation a lot. So I'm curious to see how that all shakes out. The only bright spot for superhero IP lately has been the video game industry. Insomniac Studios made 3 great Spider-Man games so far. Spider-Man 2 has been mostly well received and broke records for sales on the PS5. I finished the story and I liked it, and the gameplay is wicked fun. Insomniac is also working on a stand-alone Wolverine game within that universe, which, depending on how well that is received, could cause Insomniac to further expand into doing more video games with more Marvel characters. I did not know about the Wolverine game. That's very interesting, Raylan. I did not know that the Wolverine game was going to take place within the same universe as the Spider-Man games. I'm wondering if Sony now is trying to, like, weave their own, like, I won't say cinematic universe since it's games, but wondering if they're trying to weave their own, like, video game universe with the Marvel characters. Like, I could see that being really successful. Like, imagine if, like, we talked about this in a couple of streams ago, that Disney is supposedly thinking about getting into video games because they see that as being the future. What if, like, say, like, 5 to 10 years from now, Marvel is, like, not just, like, making movies, but they're also focusing on making video games, too, that are, like, maybe even more important than the movies. I could see that. Like, building out their story through their video games. I can see that. Would you guys want that? Do you think that would be successful? Shockwave FPS Studio says, Marvel animation has been a thing for years, and lately Marvel have been expanding on their animation division on shows like Moon Girl and Hit Monkey. So they already did. I don't know why Marvel is expanding into animation. Their animation efforts haven't been that successful. Like, I don't think that many people even watched What If. And Morak says they dropped a first look at Snow White. What? Did they? Did they drop a trailer? Oh no, I'm gonna have to look at that. Oh wait, Snow White got delayed. Did that all just happen? Did that just happen while I'm on my show? Interesting. Okay, well, I'll have something to talk about on Monday. That's good. Thank you for letting me know. Getting back to this. Where did I leave off? There has also been some great Batman video games like the Arkham series, and even though Gotham Knights wasn't as well received, I like the idea of more characters getting the chance of exposure through video games. And the video game fan base is really excited for them, so really the best bet for Disney is to invest into video games and anything they have related to video games, like Kingdom Hearts. Disney Plus should so put respect on my boy Sora, please. Also, King Mickey is like the best version of Mickey in any form of media, period. I like how strongly you feel about this. But yeah, you just basically just said what I said. I think Disney should invest in video games, but they need to fix their quality issue because they cannot make bad video games like they make bad movies. They can't do it. They will lose even more by making bad video games than bad movies. So fix the quality issue and then maybe focus on gaming. Hybrid Venom says Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur had 2D style. What is the show you guys are talking about? No idea. Birding Daylighter says the end of Loki season 1 was the turning point. It just looked like a CGI mess and it really took me out of it, especially since it was very good up until that point. And then the introduction of Jonathan Majors, I hated it. It's been non-stop disaster after that. Between the poor CGI, the unnecessary race bending, the passing of the mantles, and the need to force kids down our throat, everyone has a kid now all of a sudden. And now all of these kids and none of these kids we actually care about. All of it is forced. It's too much going on. Yeah, giving everyone a kid does seem really forced and very weird, especially since it happened all at once. Do they even realize that it happened all at once and it feels very weird? Because it definitely feels very weird. And also, as you pointed out, F them kids. No one cares about them kids. They're trying to lead up to some, Kitty Avengers thing. I think it's called the Young Avengers. But, at this point, you can't even get people to care about your Captain Marvel, who already had a $1 billion film. If you can't get people to care about characters that have already been in $1 billion movies, what hope do the Young Avengers have? I just don't know where they think they're going with this and why they think it's going anywhere good. Getting back to this. Me Multilier says, for me, it was a mix of oversaturation and really bad writing. I think they started to lose my attention with Eternals and Doctor Strange too. Both very underwhelming movies and the loss of their most popular characters after Endgame. The replacement weren't interesting enough, and the new woke agenda is not helping matters. Now every time there is a new Star Wars or Marvel show, I take my time to watch it. And I end up disappointed every time. Oh no! At least you're still trying and you still get disappointed. That sucks. I thought Eternals was terrible. Do you guys remember leading up to Eternals, there were so many rumors that Kevin Feige was apparently so enamored with the Eternals that he thought it was just so good that he thought Eternals was going to get nominated for an Oscar. He really thought it was going to be that well received, and then it was the exact opposite. I don't know what movie he saw, because I thought that movie was very bad. RuPaul's Drag Race Superfan says, "Hey Brittany, won't be able to join the live stream." Oh no! Weird thing is, I watched all the Marvel movies in 2021, and by She-Hulk, lost interest. Yeah, a lot of people jumped off after She-Hulk too. The reason such a short period of time is because I noticed a decline in character and a confusion on they don't know what they're doing. So I've gotten rid of Disney Plus, and I watched Ant-Man and Guardians 3 this year. That's it. I've completely lost interest and will never even watch the Marvels. And if something connected, I just read a synopsis of the movie to watch and I am interested in. Oh, interesting. So you're saying if something is connected, you'll just read a synopsis to get what you need to know and you don't feel like you have to watch it? That's really bad. Because 5 years ago, most Marvel fans felt like they absolutely had to watch it, not just read a synopsis. So they've done a lot of damage to their brand. It's actually impressive how much damage to their brand they've done in just 4 short years. Because it's really, Endgame didn't come out that long ago. Really, it didn't. It came out 4 years ago. But so much has changed since then. Cheetah Viper says, I was disappointed in Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, a lot of people were. After that, I lost interest. Yeah, unfortunately, I think they lost a lot of people in that movie. They overhyped it too much. It's Shea Moore says, I lost interest once Marvel started making all of the B-list characters the new stars. I used to love Loki, but I couldn't get past the first episode of the second season. Is anyone liking it so far? I think most of the people who are actually watching Loki actually like it, because it is a good show. The issue is just not a lot of people are watching it. And yeah, they're trying to make B-list characters into A-list characters, and it's just not working when even their A-list characters are struggling. They need to just get back to focusing on name brand top tier superheroes only. These B-list superheroes, C-list superheroes, they can be supporting characters, but they cannot get their own show and movie anymore. They just can't do it. Dadpool says, I personally avoided WandaVision and any other MCU series except for Loki Season 1, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, and What If. Why did you avoid WandaVision but you watched Moon Knight? I mean, to each his own. I lost interest in the MCU after seeing the Eternals on streaming. That movie made no sense at all and messed up the storyline to a point I personally deem irrecoverable. Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that they haven't even addressed that there's some giant sticking out of the planet, I think it's jumping the shark. I guess the main issue is the lack of a guideline, or rather expectations, since Endgame. I mean, Thanos was introduced in 2012 in the 6th movie of the MCU. He was introduced in such a way that people knew he was coming, but he was not really there, kind of a silent menace. Kang, on the other hand, was introduced after 9 movies, if you avoided Loki, but in a way that doesn't create any expectancy or thrill whatsoever. The character is just another plain villain, period. The second issue is the post-credit scenes. They were basically the glue that stuck everything together, and I believe they have lost all of their purpose. Yeah, the post-credit scenes feel very annoying now. Like, most of them just feel like, hey, we're gonna tease this thing that might come out in like 5 years. They used to feel fun, because they used to feel like, oh, this thing is building to something we might actually get to pretty soon. Or sometimes they would even, like, allude to movies that were coming out, like, next year. Now it's like, oh, here's some weird, vague Easter egg thing you would only understand if you watch the comic books. And that's not really fun. Again, it's getting way too inside baseball. The CoverGirl official says, I was simply never interested in Marvel. Seeing how much Marvel has fallen only makes me even less of a Marvel person. Yeah, I think a lot of Marvel's hype was just the fact that there was so much hype. Kind of like how the Kardashians are famous because they're so famous. I think without that hype that the MCU had, I think they're just going to lose a lot of casual people. Like, a lot. They already have. Joshua Munn says, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was just so disappointing. And the fact that Disney didn't capitalize on the hype from Spider-Man No Way Home after the awful Eternals, once again, why are no F-list crap superheroes getting movies over Fantastic Four and X-Men? Yeah, I have no idea. They really thought they could make Eternals a hit, which was, hubris. And the lackluster MCU Phase 4. I mean, WandaVision from the beginning was a disappointing of the ending. I actually like WandaVision overall. The ending was disappointing, but to me, the ending didn't ruin the overall show for me. I really liked most of WandaVision, so I really like that show. The Ralph Bohner fake-out is the most asinine cockamamie BS I've ever seen from a superhero studio. Yeah, the Ralph Bohner thing was bad. It's like they almost tried to ruin that show with the last episode. What were they thinking? Especially when you're teasing the multiverse, why not just have Evan Peters as actual Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men movies? I don't know why they didn't do that. And what's extra stupid is now they're actually bringing in all these, X-Men people. And it's like, okay, but we saw Evan Peters, but he wasn't actually X-Men, Fox first Quicksilver, even though we are actually going to see other Fox X-Verse people from, like, the same movies. It makes no sense. It makes no sense now. No wonder casual people are so confused. I mean, how do you get that movie so right and the Multiverse of Madness so wrong? I know a better version of that movie exists. Look up KS Moogle. Dive into the multiverse with me, and you'll see the truth of the cut version of the movie and why that movie just disappoints. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, Joshua. They keep dropping the ball over and over again. I've never seen a studio with so much goodwill, because Marvel, after Endgame, had crazy amount of goodwill, like insane goodwill, and they just squandered it in like 4 years because they released such bad stuff. That's impressive in like a sad way when you think about it. All right. Any other thoughts on this Marvel stuff before I move on to WTF news? I'm sorry this is another long stream today. Thank you, Laura B. Everyone, please like the video. It does help more people find the live stream. And again, if you aren't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a live stream. Shockwave says, one thing DC does that Marvel doesn't is that they don't rely on their movies to affect their shows and comics. Feige should just let the comics stay as the status quo and not the movies. Totally agree. Completely agree. Alright. Yeah, Amorex, I completely agree with you. The WandaVision era was amazing. Not a single show, in my opinion, has matched the WandaVision era. I truly think that was a unique experience that I don't think Marvel's going to be able to replicate, unfortunately. Alright, so let's get to WTF news. So, the first WTF news, because we actually have a couple of things. The first WTF news. So, why in the world is Jack Black stripping to a Taylor Swift song? I guess everyone's feeling very Swifty this year. Because we got Jack Black stripping to his Taylor Swift song. And I just thought this is definitely WTF news, because why is Jack Black stripping to a Taylor Swift song?
I can't do that one, we're in a strike.
So yeah, I thought this was definitely up there with the WTF news. Elio got delayed? Oh my god, did they just delay a bunch of stuff while I've been on this show? Well, I'm gonna have to look at everything that's been delayed once I get off. Interesting. We'll talk about it on Monday, guys. I know your eyes. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I really like Jack Black. He'd just be doing stuff, though. Like, what is he doing? Like, what is he doing? I don't know, but I thought this was pretty funny. Nicholas says, why couldn't Taylor Swift strip to a Jack Black song? Wouldn't that be funny? Wait, Snow White has been pushed back to March 2025. They delayed Snow White a whole year? You know, that's not just because of the strikes. That movie is done. They delayed it because of the controversy. Definitely. They did not need to delay it that long. All right, now, speaking of controversy, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I don't know what's going on, but the theaters for this movie have been a mess. Like, what's going on? Why are people stealing a standee at the movies? Like, I already showed you that fight the other day. Like, there was a big brawl in one of the theaters for Five Nights at Freddy's, and now people are stealing the whole stand? Like, what is going on? Like, why do you even need this? Who needs the whole stand? Like, the whole stand. Like, this is, like, several layers of ridiculous here. Does anyone else think they need the stand? Anyone have any ideas what they could be using that for? I know, you can hear Prancer. I'm sorry. Prancer! He just really wanted to be the star of this live stream today. I'm sorry. Wait, did Wish get delayed too? Gen Z is wild. I don't know. Yeah, the standees are worth a lot of money. Oh, so you think they're gonna sell them? They could. And they're dressed strange too. Like, the whole video is like very comical. Like, why are they dressed that way? Why are they running out? What's going on? And then speaking of Five Nights at Freddy's, all of my WTF news from here on is about Five Nights at Freddy's. Because what are they doing? So when, I guess, dressed as the bear, when they saw the movie, like, why are people not being normal about this film? Like, what? Why are people not being normal about this movie? What is going on? Can someone explain? Prancer thinks he's the star. Nicholas says, one day, Brittany, your life will open with Prancer on screen, and you're inexplicably locked out of your room. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Hybrid Venom says, I'm Gen Z and I'm just a normal person. I'm glad you exist. I'm glad you exist. Mara Hawkman says, my first impression was stage PR stunt. Maybe it is a stage PR stunt, but this would be crazy stage PR stunt. I feel like this is someone who is just cosplaying and they took the cosplaying too seriously. Because what is this? What is this? Also, can they even see? Like, how are they seeing the movie out of that? Would that scare anyone? I feel like that would actually scare quite a few people. Like, imagine a little kid seeing that in the theater. Scarred for life. Scarred for life. Alright, speaking of scarred for life, by the way. So, this is the last WTF news. One of the animatronics moved by itself on the set of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. The animatronic all of a sudden twitched its eye. I looked at the puppeteer and I was like, did you do that? And she said no. Y'all, okay, the movie set is haunted. The movie is haunted. It seems like it's haunting the audience and making them go crazy. This is all very weird. Very, very weird. I feel like, I don't know, maybe this will be one of those films that later on we find out was like, had a super cursed set or something. Because, like, what is this? Does anyone else think this is crazy? Yeah. There is a delay. You guys are still talking about the furry from the last story. Oh hell no. Exactly. That's exactly what I said. If I saw one of these creepy animatronic things start twitching and winking at me, I'd be off that set so quick. You would have to like pin me to the set to keep me there, is what I'm saying. You could not keep me on that set physically. Oh, you think this is PR nonsense? It could be. It could be. They can't use their actors to sell this, so maybe they're just getting creative. But I thought this was super creepy. Alright. Now that was it. That was it. This was an extra long show. I don't know why most of my shows this week were very long, but I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to you guys. This is really fun. Sounds like I missed a lot of new stories that dropped as I was talking, so I'll update you guys on all of that on Monday. It should be a good discussion then. I'll see you guys on Monday then at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This has been a lot of fun. Enjoy your Halloween, guys. It is Halloween this week. Yes. Well, it's Halloween on Tuesday. Why did I think that Halloween was this weekend? We should do something extra fun on Halloween. What should we do? I don't know. I'll think about something. But I'll see you guys next week, 4 p.m. as always. And yeah, I'll see you then.